Hey everybody, it's Cynthia, and as I promised, I'm here with a solds video. I know it's been a while, but I'm trying to be a little bit better about getting these videos up. And I sold a lot of things it's probably about the past 2 weeks that I felt like there were some really good lessons, both good and bad, in these items. So I thought I would share them with you, and hopefully you can pick up some ideas for your own store, especially if you're interested in selling pop culture items like we do. I also want to emphasize that this is not everything that we sold in the past 2 weeks. I cherry picked some of the items I wanted to show you, and not necessarily because they were the best flips, but because basically, as I said, I had something to say about it. Starting with this Disney Neff Mickey Mouse shirt. This was a long sleeve shirt. If you're not familiar with Neff, this is their logo. They have collections with a lot of different people. They do a lot of Disney shirts, and they're very modern art looking, like this kind of thing. You'll rarely see any kind of actual like Disney face. Generally, you'll see some kind of representation of Mickey Mouse. Um, I just noticed, I do love the expression on this one. It says too many people grow up. I picked this up, I imagine fairly cheaply because I don't usually buy long sleeve shirts. I might have got this at an estate sale for very inexpensive, but then realized it had this flaw. This is not how it's supposed to look. There was an ink splatter on this, which maybe was why it was donated because it was in like new condition. Um, and still, it sold for $12, which isn't huge, I know, but considering I got this home and said, oh geez, I made a mistake, I didn't notice that flaw, you can see it in this picture if you look now at the Mickey, I was still able to flip it to someone who was happy to have it at a reasonable price, because Neff shirts can be quite expensive, especially a long sleeve one like this, and didn't mind the flaw. So that's great. So I made my money back. I didn't lose any money on it. I might have made $1 or two after shipping and fees. But the point of it was I could have just tossed this or redonated it, but I felt that it was worth enough to give it a shot. And it sold fairly quickly, I'd say within a couple of months. Next, we have this Disney item that was kind of a flop for me, and I am really, really surprised. So I found these at this huge neighborhood garage sale, and this woman was selling tons of Disney collectible items. Clearly, she was a collector and maybe even a seller herself. And most of everything she had pretty priced up. And she even had these priced. I want to say she had them in the $11 range, which I just wasn't going to pay. I think in the end, I paid $4 or possibly up to $7. For some reason, 7 sticks in my mind. And the reason I did was because this, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Uniqlo, is a brand that makes streetwear, and a lot of their clothes are really expensive. And it was Disney, what they call like washi tape or masking tape. And I didn't know it at the time, but it turned out that these were a special premium you could only get at a D23 Expo, which is the Disney conventions. So I thought this was a real winner. I was completely wrong. I've had, I had it up like in the $20 or more range. I had so many people watching it and nothing. And I lowered the price and lowered the price and lowered the price. And we finally took an offer. I think actually we took an offer for, I want to say 8. It doesn't show it here. I don't think it actually sold for $11.99 because it just got to the point where I was just wanted to see them go to a good home because I was so annoyed looking at them every day. So yeah, I don't know what the lesson is in this, but um, I guess just sometimes even stuff that seems really great isn't going to go. So it was limited edition from two great companies that could only be got at the con, and still had trouble moving it. So again, and that one, in the end, I probably actually lost money on those, which is a shame. I seem to have all my mistakes lined up in a row. I didn't do that on purpose. This is another mistake, and I have to laugh because if you guys watch Katie and Vicky, they sold this game this week, and they got like $50 for it. I got 25. We took a best offer of $10 with 15 shipping. Um, it was incomplete, but it wasn't missing a lot of parts. It was just missing some. So you'll see this game pop up a lot. It's a video tape game. So like you have to have a video VHS machine to play the game. Um, but it comes with some very interesting little bits, and it used to be, I think, a lot bigger, faster seller. But I guess as less people have VHS tapes, it just has become harder to move. And but it is Halloween coming up. It's a scary horror game. And if mine had been complete, granted mine wasn't. I think Vicky said that hers was complete, and she got that 50 for it. By the time I probably paid, I want to say I paid $3 to $4 for this. I might have actually paid more because I've come across it a few times, and I remember thinking this one was pretty much together. Because see here, see how these pieces, like, I think they were punched out and I put them back in, but they were in good shape. But there's one missing there, so there wasn't much missing. So I really thought, honestly, I was going to get like 50 bucks for it. And again, sometimes the people just buy it for parts and then pick up, make up a game they have. Whatever. It's been up, it's been up, it's been up. I've put it on sale, marked it up, marked it down, and finally just said I want to get rid of it. So somebody made us a $10 offer. We took it. By the time we shipped it, I probably made my money back that I spent on the game. Um, so technically there was no profit, but I recouped the money that I spent, and it's out of my garage. Because that's the other thing. This game is big, and my husband had to build a box for it because it was so big. Yeah, I want to say right here, I'm telling myself no more board games except for Pretty Pretty Princess because I am never able to sell them. I see people sell them all the time and sell tons of them and still get good money on them, and I don't know what it is. I swear eBay knows I don't sell many games, and so they don't like put me up in the search or something. I don't know what it is. Games and one other thing I'm going to show you in this do not sell well for me. So I have to stop picking them up. Got it. On the other hand, we have an American Girl doll dress. It's hard to tell it's a doll dress, but it is. It's for an American Girl doll. I did not get $12.99 for it. I did get $8 for it, but it cost like $2 to ship. I think $2.50 is the lowest shipping because it's so light and so easy. It just goes in envelope, seal it up, gone. And the best thing is I really paid nothing for it, kind of. I bought a huge box of costumes a couple of weeks ago at an estate sale, and this just happened to be in the box. So I wouldn't even say if I paid for it, I paid a penny, let's say, if we divide up the cost of everything that was in the box. Um, and this was not a great seller. This was the other thing. There are some dresses that could have gotten $20 or more for the dress. This is not one of them. For whatever reason, and I think it's because it's more modern, it's not a big seller. There's a lot of these up. I actually didn't have much hope that it was going to go very quickly. It's a beautiful piece. American Girl doll clothing is such quality work. But like I said, a lot of people have these up. And again, I think because it's modern. If this was one of the vintage pieces for one of the vintage dolls, if you know what I mean, if you know American Girl, definitely be worth more money. Never, ever, this is my rule, ever leave American Girl clothing behind. If it is a reasonable price, like if they're not charging you $50 a dress, buy it because it flips and it flips fast. And I recently left behind a bag because I was like, it's a lot of money to buy. I don't want to spend. And I had to choose between Legos and American Girl. I picked up the Legos, and that was the mistake. The American Girl clothes sold like within 24 hours for 3 times at least what I paid for it. And so, yeah, I will never ever leave American Girl behind again. This was a really fun find. If you come across this logo, if you're not familiar with it, if you don't know, in addition to selling pop culture things, I particularly lean toward spooky things, Halloween-y, gothic, that kind of stuff. Anytime I find something like that, I jump for it. So this is Emily the Strange. There's the picture of Emily there. I was watching something this week, and the girl had an Emily the Strange poster on her wall. So funny. This is a cute little canvas purse that says paws off. It has like paw prints up it and paw prints up the back. It's a fairly good size. It was like a medium size with a nice crossbody strap. It was in very nice condition. It was pre-owned, but it was looked really great. That front piece a little bit textured, and there were other Emily the Strange purses on eBay at the time I listed this, but I think I was the only person with this particular one. Um, it sold for in the neighborhood of 40. I don't think I got the full 40, but I think we shipped it out of the country. So they would have paid shipping on top. So in the end, I did probably get what I was asking for it because I would have, if I'd shipped it in the US, I would have had to pay to ship it out. So really fun stuff. I think almost anything Emily the Strange, which I would never hesitate to buy anything. And again, whenever I say that, obviously I mean at a reasonable price. If something's marked at $20, $25, if this had been marked at $10, I still would have made money on it. But I probably picked it up. I think I got it at Salvation Army, which is really unusual. I don't generally find this kind of stuff there. But I was so excited to find it and so glad it went to a good home. This is another example of things I have to stop buying. So everybody can, I hear all the time people online, saying shoes, 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 shoes sell, sneakers sell, buy them. I have had little to no luck selling shoes. We have sold some in the past. We've sold some women's. I think we had some Ferragamos once, and and they've gone. We had a couple some men's Cole Haans, and they went, but they always sit, and they always end up going for barely enough money to really just make a little profit. Which I don't care when it's a quick T-shirt. Takes no room, and I flip it in the thing. But these take up so much room in my storage, shoes in general, and they are expensive to ship because they're heavy. And then you have to worry about them not fitting somebody. And it just irks me. So I had these up. I had them on Poshmark, everything. And then we finally took an offer on them. And again, they did not go for the 35. I want to say they went closer to 25. After we shipped them, like I said, there was very little left. I might have just recouped what I spent on them. And when I looked them up, because if you think I'm just buying anything, I looked these up in the store before I bought them, and they were selling well, and they were in good shape, a little bit of scuffing, but pretty much some nice, they were in good condition. But I don't know, size maybe, I don't know what, but board games and shoes, I'm going to stop buying shoes. I still have like two boots and a pair of shoes left in my store that I thought were going to be fabulous flips. No. I understand people talk about like getting diversification, but I'm saying find your niche and stick to it. Shoes, unless they are shoes with Ghostbusters on them or goosebumps on them, it is not my niche. I have to stop. This is my niche in every possible way. It's Disney. It's Disney Parks, which means it was only sold in the park. It's Haunted Mansion, which is my favorite Disney attraction. And it's spooky because it is Haunted Mansion. This is a Ghost Host shirt. It's a t-shirt replica of the wardrobe that the Haunted Mansion staff wears. This is the female version. I got this if you'd watched my earlier videos this week, I was at the high school theater group had a big flea market, and they just dump all the clothes. Well, I think they start off all folded, but they don't end up that way. By the time I got there, it was just piles and piles and piles of clothes on those outdoor lunch tables. And I was digging probably for a good half hour before I came upon this. And I recognized the pattern before I really saw what it was. And just because I've had the male version of this shirt too, and just grabbed it up instantly. And it was one of those things that when I grabbed it, I was like, is anybody seeing me? Is somebody going to say, oh, that's not for sale? Give that back? Because I actually heard some kids at the flea market going, hey, that's my jacket. What's that doing there? So I think the school might have like donated everything that was in the lost and found, and she found her jacket. So the downside to this was, well, let me tell you the upside. If you find this shirt in good condition, this thing sells normally anywhere between $30 and $60. if you have tags on it, the better the condition, tags, depending on the size. This was a good size. This was an XL, which is not big for Disney on a Disney shirt. It's probably more like a large. Um, but yeah, it'll sell for $30 to $60. This one had been washed a lot of times, so it was a little fading. It was in good condition still. There were no stains and there was no rips, but there was a little bit of light pilling under the arms and a little bit faded. So we went for $19, and I think I actually took it off for 15. And again, the only reason I took it that low was because it did have the wear. Um, Knowing that they could get a good one for 30 and a brand new one for 60, I kind of felt like I was sort of stuck in the 20 range. And we didn't take the first offer that came in on it. That was the second or possibly even third offer, but it flipped within a day. I think we had three offers maybe in the same day, 2 days max. Um, I always love when we sell things before we ever put it away because I kind of have a process I list at my desk from things like things to my left haven't been listed yet. I list them, I draft them, and then they go to my right in a box that's to be photographed, and then they go to a pile that's behind my couch that's heading for the garage, which is where we store everything. And so I usually let that pile, well, I don't usually, but it tends to pile up for 2 or 3 days before it goes to the garage. And so I love things that sell within the 2 days before the stuff goes to the garage. So that was a good one. So yeah. And then, you know what? Let me show you. Oh, that's so weird. You know what? My husband photographed this because he didn't take it close. If you can kind of see, hang on, here. There you go. See that Disney Parks logo? Or sometimes it'll say Disneyland and Disney World. Those are the specific park items that are only sold in one of the parks. And I just now saw this. It's got Europe and, what is that, Hong Kong sizes on it. I love that in Hong Kong this is a 2XL. Um, But that Disney Parks logo in general is going to mean it's a little bit more rare because it's harder to find as opposed to a Disney store item. However, there are a lot of Disney store items that people will pay good money for. So don't think just because it's Disney store it's not worth anything. That's not true. But just to help you distinguish, you will see people listing items as Disney Parks versus Disney Store versus just Disney, which could mean it's a licensed brand for a different company. Like Mattel could make a Disney toy that is sold in toy stores, but that is Disney Mattel. That's not Disney Parks or Disney Store. Is that confusing? So yeah, anything that's generic Disney, usually, that's it's really just more about knowing what you're selling. So Disney Parks, love to find Disney Parks things. Um, this one I wanted to throw in here because I've actually sold this similar item twice. Old paperback books were not big booksellers anymore just because we find, again, they're a pain to store and can take a while to flip. However, if you find these Signet, there's the side of them. If you find early James Bond paperbacks, particularly these Signet ones, which are some of the early first printings in paperback, they sell really well in lots. You could sell ones or twos, but when you have them in a grouping like this, people will buy them and fairly quickly. So we sold this grouping for 27. I had it all the way up at 45, but again, some of the books weren't in the best condition. I was kind of shooting a little higher. They're musty, they're a little bit brown on the inside, and I'm realizing too, my husband photographed these because I would have shown the inside of the books. I can always tell who photographed. Um, but yes, so if you find these Signet James Bonds, especially if you're picking them up like 50 cents, a dollar, even $1 a piece, you're going to make your money back on them, especially the bigger bulk you can get, because again, they ship media mail, so they go out very inexpensively, and they sell very quickly. This is a very special lesson. This is an old TV guide that you can see is not in the best shape. It's got writing on the cover. It's a little bit damaged there. People circled their favorite things to watch like I used to do when I was a kid. It's got it's got a cover story on I Dream of Jeannie. It's got a review of Lost in Space. It's a really perfect era of TV guides in the 1960s. Um, TV guides in general are one of these funny things that used to be worth a ton, like all of them were worth money. and not so much anymore. Now people are very picky about which ones they like, and obviously the better condition, the better you are. The big thing is not having, remember how these things would have a sticker across the front with your mailing address and it would cover half of her face. So having one where the sticker either peeled off cleanly or never had a sticker because someone bought it in a store is ideal. This one sold for $30, even with the writing, even with the bad condition. We put up two other TV guides. I think one with the Munsters on the cover, or Adam sent Munsters, I think, and that sold fairly quickly too, a little bit less than this, and the third one's still up. The lesson here is two things. Number one, old TV guides still sell if you can find them in good shape, or if you, or as I did, have them around the house. My real lesson for you here is dig around in source your own house, source your garage, source your parents' garage, your neighbor's garage if they'll let you, you know. But I am always amazed at how many things I find out in our garage that I forgot we had that we're not that attached to. And the thing with this was we had multiple of these. We had collected it because it had Lost in Space review in it, and that's our thing. We collect Irwin Allen, Lost in Space, Voyage to the Bottom Sea, Land of the Giants. So that's why we owned this particular one. But in addition to this one, while I found this one, I also found a couple of others that we probably got in a lot and didn't have anything in them that we were interested in. That was the case, I think, with the Monsters one, or I think it was Get Smart. I don't remember. Um, but the point is, this is a $30 bill that was laying in my garage. And between all the TV guides we listed, it was a $100 bill laying in the garage. And after I get done talking to you about it, I will have forgotten that I even sold this thing. The chances are we will not look for it. If we really suddenly had a need for it, we could buy another one on eBay, probably. But so. Um, but that's my story on this one. Find the items that are in your house that you aren't using, maybe that you collected at some time that you're just not into anymore, or you have duplicates of. We collected a lot of duplicates when we got married. We married our collections. Sell them. That's money laying around your house. And it was a nice perk for our store because lately I've had a hard time, as you may have seen with my hauls, finding things that are more TV memorabilia, the kind of thing that we started selling when we first started our eBay store. That stuff's a lot harder to come by. And so it was kind of nice to put up something more like what we used to sell. A couple more to show you, and this is getting long. This is just an example of something that you probably might not have picked up. I almost didn't pick up. This is Amazon Game Studios, and it was a game called Breakaway. This Alpha Strike Team game. So apparently Breakaway was a game that Amazon was paying the developers to create for them, or through a program they had. And my understanding is it never came about, or it came about but then they stopped. I think that like the betas were out, but they stopped making it. And so this was a team member's shirt, so someone who worked on this game. I wasn't sure if it had any value, but I really love picking up game shirts, tech shirts. So the fact that it was Amazon and a game was really cool to me, and apparently cool to somebody else. It sold for $25 and fairly quickly. This is a horrendous picture that tells you if you've got the right item. It doesn't matter. This is a goofy, believe it or not, this is a toddler costume. It's a 2-4T. The child fits in the whole thing, and the head becomes like a hood that goes on their head, so it extends up even higher than the child. This came in that whole box of costumes that we purchased. It was incredibly difficult to photograph. Oh, and it had stains on it. Look at that. It had marks on it. Very hard to photograph. But we immediately, and you can see all the junk in the background, we immediately had 2, 3 offers on it. And that went higher and higher. And again, I don't think it sold for the full price of 50. I think we took in the neighborhood of 30, 35 because they also paid shipping on top. It was quite bulky. You wouldn't think a Halloween costume would weigh that much, but because this had this padded plush, it was almost like a big stuffed animal head. It was quite expensive to ship. We did wash it, clean it. It still had these issues. And so that's another, once again, not to be afraid of selling something that's really cool, that's got some stains. A child's going to wear this probably for Halloween, and they're never going to wear it again because they're going to grow out of it. So most people aren't going to worry about that if it's something they really want. Brand new, this costume was probably a $100 costume. It might have been, it was a Disney, again, it was a Disney Parks. I don't think he took a picture of the label. But I wrote Disneyland, which tells me that it had a Disney Parks tag in it. So that would have been hard to come by. So there you go. We actually had two Goofy costumes and a Goofy hat. We sold a Goofy hat and a Goofy costume in the same week. The other thing that's becoming really hot right now is Nightmare Before Christmas. You do have to watch a little bit. Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the most merchandised properties from Disney. I mean, you wouldn't think so, but it is. You can walk into any Hot Topic, Box Lunch, pretty much any of these stores and have your pick of Nightmare shirts, hats, purses, everything. And then, of course, Disney's got it. But this time of year, everybody gets a little crazy from now through Christmas of Nightmare Before Christmas. Disney's Haunted Mansion becomes Nightmare Before Christmas. It's just, it's become a real staple for the holiday season. Walgreens always has a huge selection of Nightmare toys and things. So I wouldn't buy everything Nightmare. I've really slowed down. I try not to pick up too much. We did sell a shirt and this purse this week. The purse I loved, and if you do find the purses, I would almost always grab them. There's other really think unusual things, like there's a desk set, things like that. And some of the shirts will still sell if you get them really reasonably. This is a Disney Parks. Again, we had that discussion that it's a Disney Parks shirt, purse. It was kind of a vinyl, had these lovely details, like that little rose pull on the chain in the front. Very nice. There's a little skull on the zipper pull here. It had a little bit of wear to it, but not much. It was very cute. And I had it up here and I had it up on Poshmark. And somebody made us a good offer here. Again, I don't think I sold it for 40, but I think we sold it at 35. It was the offer was pretty darn close to what we had it up for. Um, and again, I'm glad it's going to a good home because it was a very cute purse. So keep your eye out for Nightmare unusual things. Just look them up. The last two items, I know this is getting long. The last two items are my big wins of the week. The first one is just, if you believe in karma or whatever you want to call it, kismet, crazy, crazy, crazy. This is a Jane Russell. There's the tag. So if you don't know, she was a very big movie star in the 40s, 50s. She starred in some early kind of very sexy westerns, and she was just a very um, sought after sexy actress of the era. And it worked forever. Like she worked all the way into this. She was on Yellow Rose in the 90s, and I just loved. Super lady. So this wardrobe piece, this was a piece of wardrobe, had her name in it. This was actually for sale on another auction site. And it was with sort of in conjunction with other wardrobe items, but the other wardrobe items had all the sort of provenance with them that would help you understand where they came from and what they were used for. This one had the least amount, and they didn't photograph the tag. They were just like, it's Jane Russell blouse. The buttons are missing, which is a shame, and there's a little bit of staining, and some like there where the fabric is running off. But again, this is a really old piece of wardrobe that's been who knows where for all these years. I was going to bid on it the first time around, but I kind of honestly I forgot about it and I didn't. And then I come to find it didn't sell. And then they put it up at a buy it now, and with like really inexpensive shipping, which is not like this company. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Oh my gosh. So I got it for very little money. I got it for a Salvation Army price, I have to say. And we put it up, and I honestly thought it was going to sit a while because, again, I could not find any photograph from a movie that identical to this, so I couldn't identify what it came from. There was no question in my mind it is a real wardrobe piece. It was beautifully made. You can tell that it's old, and again, because the other items from the same seller had the provenance with them, it would have been unlikely that this one would be some kind of fake that anybody would make, and it just didn't make any sense at all for it to be fake. So we had a very low ball offer, a super offer. I would have made a ton of profit, but very low offer right out of the gate within hours. And I guessed at the price. A full Jane Russell costume from one of her top movies, a really recognizable costume, sold for $2,000. So I thought, this is only a blouse and it's not recognizable. I don't know what movie it comes from. So I was shooting high at like $400, $350. We had a second offer, and then um, we countered with a price. And the person was like, "Oh, I really want to." They were overseas, and so it took a lot of time for the communication to go back and forth because they were in a way different time zone than us. They went back and forth, back and forth. They were like, "Ah, I really want it, but it's a little pricey, and I don't know what it's from." And then while they were deciding if they were going to take the offer we gave them, someone came in and bought it at a much higher price, much higher, like almost not the full asking that we were asking, but pretty darn close. So as much as I liked the first buyer and seemed like a really nice person who was a collector, the second buyer, came in closer to our number. So we took it and it went off to England, and I hope they're extremely excited and happy with it. It's a really cool piece. Last one. All right, I'm running out of breath. This is my last one. This was so cool I wanted to keep it. So um, I don't even remember exactly where I found this. I mean, I found it in a thrift store. It was it was a Jurassic Park. So in the front just said Universal like this, technical services. There's the close up of the front. I'll buy almost anything it says Universal on it. I collect Universal. I'm a Universal fanatic. But the back I realized was Jurassic Park the ride, Universal Studios Hollywood Shoot Run Out Replacement from 2016. So apparently back in 2016, a crew of the technical crew of Universal replaced the some of the runoff shoots from the Jurassic Park ride. Now, what's really funny about it is the week that I found this shirt was the week was it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago when they had shut down the Jurassic Park ride for a complete remodel. So everything these people did in 2016 is getting torn out. So it was a bizarre coincidence that everybody was online talking about Jurassic Park shutting down, how the remodel, and here I did. I had this shirt that was about an original correction. So first of all, Jurassic Park stuff in general sells well. There's a lot of collectors for Jurassic Park. Universal Studios specifically stuff doesn't always sell well. There's a few properties that do. I always feel like it should sell better than it does. I thought this shirt was really worth it, and I put it up for more. I think I had it at 100, and we took an offer of something like 90, 95. So like again, something really close, and it stayed here locally in Southern California. And it felt like it was never worn. It was. I bet you the person got it as part of their job, but they didn't actually wear it. It was just like a weird little souvenir thing. Um, so this went to a good home. I'm imagining somebody probably who is a huge Jurassic Park fan and just collects Jurassic Park. Oh yeah, because the person's name I think had like Spielberg in their username or something. But that was so nice to see it go to somebody who really appreciated what it is. This is what I love about selling, particularly pop culture collectibles, is I love hooking up fans with things that they may never have seen before. I've never seen this before. I've never seen anything like this. I have seen other Universal ride and crew shirts, but this one was really special. So I'm so excited that it went to a big Jurassic Park fan. And that's where I'm going to end. So, like I said, that's some of our sales from the last 2 weeks. It's just a small portion of them, but I hope that you gain something from listening to me ramble on about all these items. I get really excited about the things we sell, so forgive me if I ramble too much, but I love the things we find, and I love finding new homes for these items, except for sneakers and board games. I do not love those, and I am not bringing them into my home anymore. You can hold me to that, and call me on it if I show you another video haul where I've bought either of those things. So that's it. You guys have a great rest of your day. I hope that your eBay sales are spectacular. We're heading into fourth quarter. It's supposed to be picking up like crazy, right? Not crazy yet, but we're getting there. And if you have anything Halloween, Nightmare Before Christmas, in your stash, get it up now. Halloween's going to be here soon. You're really going to have things mailed out by like the middle of Halloween. So you've really only got like 2, 3 weeks of maximum selling on your Halloween stuff. So get it up. And then as soon as that's done, get that Christmas stuff up because that is coming right on the heels after it. So that's the plan. I hope to be back tomorrow with another video. I told you I was going to have a sourcing video for you every day, so we're going to see if I can get it done. Great. You guys have a super day.